Hey, how is it going, everyone? I am excited to be here. Hope you guys are having an awesome Tuesday, 7 p.m., just a little after 7 p.m. on the East Coast. We have done a lot to get this going. You guys know who I am. This is Mrs. Chevy Dude.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you got to get closer to that.
Oh, am I not close enough?
There we go. Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. So what do you think about the new studio here? This is, you guys saw the last 4 days of doing this, and I was going to do a little bit different video to start this out, but we just didn't, I just didn't decide to do it. I just decided not to do it. That's what I should have said. But are you excited to do this?
Sure.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, a little.
So we have 3 cameras set up. We have that camera, the Mrs. Chevy Dude cam. And we have the camera for me. And then we have this camera. We have 3 cameras. And currently we're using 3 different types of cameras because I am way over budget on this project. And I was trying, if you looked at the first video, we were attempting to stay in budget. I know the cat's in here playing around.
He found a toy.
Yeah, he was playing with that earlier before we went live. So, so here's the format. This is what we're going to do. We are going to kind of like get on every time, kind of have a few minutes and have a discussion and just see who's all in here and whatnot. And then we're going to stream this for an hour. And then I'm going to record everything. You can kind of see this deck right here. This is a nice big Rode Caster Pro, extremely expensive. Does all sorts of cool things. We have some laughter. We're not going to really use these buttons unless, you do something.
Well, I like the crickets.
Oh, I hit that. There we go. So we've done some stuff on here. So if you want to text in a question, that would be the phone number you text the question into. And they come straight to Mrs. Chevy Dude, and she can ask those. Oh, I forgot to tell you that you're gonna read those to me. Whatever you feel is good subject to talk about.
I was gonna say, let's hope they're appropriate and people aren't just trying to text me because they like me better.
Well, let's not start that up.
See, you already have one.
Yeah, good.
So
good.
When is your new vet coming in?
Hopefully soon on that. Can't really discuss on when they're going to start shipping because I have been told the official date, but we can't discuss that stuff.
And you're not disclosing with me?
No, I was told I would. Nobody knows. I was told I would tell nobody, and I said not even you.
That is rude. I thought marriage means that we tell each other everything, and there is,
Is that in the wedding? Is that when the wedding vows? No secrets.
Yeah.
Oh darn it! Screwed that all up, didn't I?
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, we have been married for 20.5 years and counting. We've been together for 26 plus, something like that, right? 1992.
This year will be 27.
Yeah. At the end of the year. So look forward to it is, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't think about that. So and then everything's going to be pushed over to the podcast. So if you don't catch this on every week on YouTube, you can download it on your favorite podcast. And I haven't decided on what day I'm going to put that up on. So we're going to figure that out because I don't know what I got to do to edit this stuff. I need to get an intro on the podcast. I've got the cool podcast. You saw that on there. Of course, I guess I do need to say that I'm titling this Beyond the Showroom. Forgot to tell everybody that. Beyond the Showroom.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like, hey, welcome to Beyond the Showroom.
Well, we're going to do that when we start the podcasting stuff.
Oh, well, the phone's already blowing up, and I don't know if I can keep track of all these messages coming in.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what we can do with this live stream. So with further ado, I guess we can go ahead and start getting this going. And see if we can do this first live stream.
Oh, my goodness.
There's a lot of messages.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
It's blowing up.
Wow. Maybe I don't know.
Need to hire somebody.
Yeah, no, we need a third person to screen stuff and whatnot. So, all right. So we'll start recording the audio portion of the podcast in 3, 2, 1. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining Beyond the Showroom podcast. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Mike Davenport. I'm one of the top Chevrolet salesmen in the country, and I work for Bachman Chevrolet in Louisville, Kentucky. Got about 20 years into the car business. January 14th, 2000 was the first day of my car business, and I love what I do. One of the goals that I did right at the beginning of my tenureship with the car business was to sit here and just change the car business. And my career on YouTube started in 2012, and here we are now, 214,000 subscribers on YouTube, teaching people every day how to not get scammed by car dealers, how to go about buying cars in the proper way, what to look for, fees not to pay, stuff like that. I am joined by my lovely wife of 20 years. Who are you?
Oh, I'm supposed to say who I am?
I guess so.
Oh, darn. I'm Andy, and yes, wife of 20 years, and I've been by your side every day of the car business.
And so we thought that having both of us do this, because you're completely in your comfort zone doing this, right?
Oh, very comfortable.
Right? So we thought that since I've been in the car business for 20 years, that we could tag team this and do a really awesome stream, really awesome podcast, and just have the expert level that I'm in this business every single day. And I think sometimes that we, as car salesmen, as car managers, as dealership personnel, we kind of get blinded. We kind of get the blinders on with not knowing what consumers look at. So one great thing that she does is understands the car business to an extent, but she doesn't live and die by it like I do. And I think we were talking about it earlier. What do you think you can bring to the table?
Well, I don't know. No. Basically, just coming from, I think, more like a consumer versus a salesperson. I know just watching you sometimes, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that, because I'm that consumer sitting there like, you're taking forever. You're taking forever to do this, So just I'll be the consumer in this program.
Yeah, and I like that idea because, like we were just talking about, and one of the biggest things since you brought that up is time buying a car is consuming, and the worst thing is when you get to the point of, okay, we're done buying the car and all that stuff that, why isn't stuff done now? Can we get going? Buying a house is much easier, which really it isn't. And we'll talk about that down the road.
I was going to say, it's not really easier. It's just you're not sitting someplace waiting.
Right. Exactly. So let's get into the big topic of hand in this live stream. What we're going to talk about and on the podcast is buying a car with cash versus finance. The biggest thing out there is people walk in and say, hey, I'm paying cash. And, the old adage is cash is king, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that we could talk about a little bit of cash versus finance, which way's better. And by no means am I a financial advisor. I don't have any type of schooling on it. I am obviously have to keep our family afloat, kind of deal with the money on that aspect of it. But, we have to, I see a lot of different things go on in the car business, and I see a lot of different scenarios. And the very fortunate thing of doing this for 20 years is I get to see a lot of different scenarios on people doing things. So that's really cool. And that's really fun that I get to have that experience with people and hear a lot of different aspects. And I deal with everyone. I deal with people buying $500,000 cars that they have to use their tax return or save some money up to get it. Or they, are buying $140,000 cash money, right? So I deal with affluent people. I deal with people who are scrounging around money and trying to get stuff going for their car. And one of the instances I just had is we had someone in the dealership sell his car to us for $500, and he was getting on a plane to go to New York, and drug addict, and he had to get out of Kentucky, so he couldn't be on drugs anymore, and he thought going to New York is doing better. Well, I've kept in contact with him and using him as a reference, or using me as a reference and whatnot. So I deal with everybody, and I love dealing with people, and it doesn't matter if you got money or you don't have money. I treat everybody the same way. Maybe that Corvette buyer spending $140,000 wants to be treated a little bit better than that person buying a $2,000 car, but everybody gets treated with great respect and amazing customer service, and I'm there for everybody.
Yeah, we have one text that says the audio is a little quiet, so you might want to adjust it. It sounds fine on our end, but
okay, thanks, appreciate that, guys. So let's get into cash versus finance. So a few things that we hear, I mentioned it earlier, is that we see people walking in and say, hey, listen, I'm going to pay cash. What's the cash price? Where you need to buy a car based off a cash price. Most people do finance cars. And most of the time, I guess I should say it this way. The reason people think that cash is king is, I would assume, probably from like the 70s, maybe the 80s. I didn't get in the car business until 2000, so I never saw this. So this is all hearsay, and this is all information coming from past managers and all of that stuff. And in a nutshell, what's happening is back in the day when prime interest rates were 21, 22, 23% interest rate, you couldn't sell it for that much, right? There's usury laws. There's caps on what a dealership or anybody out there can sell a car for. So dealerships would go out and tell the consumers, hey, listen, go get your own financing and we'll give you a discount. Pay cash for the car. And people paying cash for cars back in the day would get a better discount because they were paying cash and they didn't have to deal with the banks. And that literally comes from like the 70s and 80s. And that's where people are coming from on this stuff. So, now today in 2020, it's still there. It's been in my life for 20 years that cash is king. What do you think?
Well, I would say I can see it with the whole, way things were back in the 80s, the dodgy salesman, everybody trying to gross you, all that type of stuff compared to the way things are now. But just like when we were furniture shopping a couple weeks ago, we were told you pay cash, we'll give you 5% off, 10% off. So there are still businesses out there that are willing to give you discounts because you pay cash versus financing.
And this is why I have you here, because I completely forgot about that situation,
Well, it's happened to us a couple of times when we've been out shopping. It's always, things like furniture or, I don't know. We've never paid cash for a house, so I don't know if it would happen in the housing business. But, it still happens. But in the car business, we're not doing that so much anymore.
No, we're not. And actually, believe it or not, there are many instances out there that manufacturers are giving you incentive to finance the car. And this is hard. This is hard to explain sometimes, right? So imagine that farmer coming in, right? We're in Kentucky. We got a lot of farmers. We do have a lot of cash buyers here in Kentucky as well, and horse people, stuff like that. And they walk in and they just want to pay cash for a car, but the pricing on our website is based off of you financing. And that's not from dealership ABC or anything like that. That is strictly from the manufacturer's standpoint that, hey, listen, if you finance through GM Financial, Toyota Financial, Ford Credit, whoever out there is got the lender, the captive lender, then they give you an incentive. Well, sometimes dealerships will put that incentive on them as well, because why? The dealerships get a kickback from the banks. And a lot of people think that the kickback is marking up interest rate, which is still true, but it's not completely 100% true. Some banks are now going to the flat percentage rate, right? So they're like, hey, listen, just give us the customer and we'll give you a flat percentage rate at the buy rate, at the rate that we're giving you. And that's how the dealership makes money. So the dealerships will pressure you to finance with them and not allow you, not what I want to say, I don't want to say not allow you, but encourage you not to go to your own bank. Now, certainly you can go to your own bank and get interest rates, but there is also the fact that, say, like Capital One, if you go to Capital One, which I love Capital One, and you do their auto navigator and you go to the dealership, you could probably get a better rate at the dealership than you do with the Capital One navigator. And they don't fluctuate on that, because Capital One's auto navigator basically is saying, hey, listen, we're trying to take the dealership out of it with the financing part and being fully transparent and doing the great things, but just their business practice. I don't know their algorithms. We don't know their algorithms. So, so that's what happens. So, Funboy12375 asked if this applies to used cars. It can apply to used cars. There are dealerships out there putting incentives on used cars and new cars to pay cash or finance it rather over than paying cash, because here is why dealerships want you to finance a car. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they make money off of it.
But do you know a reason other than making money from the financing company? Why?
I would say, and I know I'm going to get this wrong.
No, you're fine. That's what we're here for.
But and this goes from being in the dealership and being around you more. But, if you do everything right there, then it's a less chance of the customer walking away, less chance, of different things. Once that customer's gone to their bank, tried to get the loan, tried to work things out, you want to sell the car right then and there. And then on top of it, depending on, what's going on, it's, return business later, years down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of almost hit the nail on the head. My infamous saying in the car business is time kills deals, right? So when people leave the dealership, that puts a lot of pressure on the dealership. Are they going to come back? Is a third party person going to, sway their decision and stuff like that? But the biggest thing with car dealers of why they want you to finance over paying cash is because the finance buyer is going to buy product in the finance office. They're more likely to purchase an extended warranty. They're more likely to purchase gap insurance, which a gap insurance would never happen with a cash buyer.
It only adds a couple more dollars per month versus adding $1,500, $2,000, etc.
Yeah, because most people are payment buyers. Most people who buy cars are payment buyers. They don't care. This is a bad thing, right? They don't care how much the vehicle costs. All they care about is how much is it in my monthly payment. Car buyers, car shoppers, car buyers, today's world is basically subscription based. You look at how much you spend on Amazon per year. You look at, as far as Prime, you look at how much people pay for Hulu, right? So we use us as an example. We got rid of all TV, right? We don't have that $100 bill. Yeah, we don't have cable anymore, right? I don't know how much we pay for streaming services, but I'm sure it's probably $30-$40 a month, right? So we have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Hulu, Disney, but Netflix, we don't pay for that right now.
We don't pay for Disney. Prime is already included in our stuff.
So that's the way a lot of people are buying cars now too, is they don't care how much negative equity they have. They don't care about anything like that. They're just simply wanting to.
Well, if you look at things, even when you go to buy your phone now, everything's payment. How much, new iPhone comes out. Oh, it's only $50 a month or $60 a month for the next 2 years instead of buying it outright. And the same thing goes for furniture. When you finance, everything is payment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Somebody said my voice sounds different from the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast,
it's not as animated.
But from the podcast standpoint, I have a YouTube channel, and I've streamed this every week at 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel. And people are commenting in that my mic, I sound different. Well, I'm using a Shure mic, which is the same mic that Joe Rogan uses. And it's an expensive mic, but it's the best mic on the market. And when we did this podcast setup, I wanted to spend the money and only do it one time rather than say, I'm going to upgrade now and spend twice as much money. So with that being said, it just depends on, cash or finance. Typically speaking, you can get a better deal financing a car because they'll be more lenient on discounts and stuff like that.
You know, you have to learn to let me get the words in edgewise here.
Okay.
You talk way too much, but we do have a text message that happens to deal with what we're talking about.
Perfect.
And somebody wanted to know if it was better to do credit union or through the dealer. But the thing is, dealers can do credit union.
Yeah, absolutely. So really you just need to work with the bank, or excuse me, you want to work with the dealer. Ask the dealership. This is a great question to ask the dealership. Do you work with ABC Credit Union? Do you work with XYZ Bank? Because if they do, just kind of like I mentioned on the Auto Navigator thing with Capital One, they could get you better terms through your own lender. And this is the way I always explain it to my clients, is that if you have a relationship with a bank, a brick and mortar bank, and the dealership sends millions of dollars a month to that bank, where you or I maybe walk in and spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 every 5 years. So a lot of times the dealerships will get a better deal and a better interest rate. And a lot of times people out there say, don't ever finance with the dealerships, but those, they don't know the ins and outs. Yes, they do mark up the rates. Yes, they do make money. It's a convenience factor, right? So, you pay a convenience factor on almost everything out there. Uber, Uber's a big one, right? We pay fees to Uber just so somebody can use their car, so to drive us around. So it's kind of interesting. It's definitely something to look into, do your due diligence on, and just make sure you get the best rate. And that's the biggest thing. I like that question. That it's a matter of, do you work with this bank? And if you do, then, hey, sit there and find out what their terms are, what their agreements are. Do you get better rates than them? Are they exactly the same? Bank of America, stuff like that. You got another question for us?
There's a million questions here.
All
I'm
right.
just kind of going through. The next one we're going to go with is, when's the best time to buy a car?
Oh, I love this one. When is the best time to buy a car? So, I love this. I love this one. This one's so awesome and so much fun to talk about, because there's different scenarios and different reasons of why a certain time is a better time to buy a car. And the biggest one, this is always the biggest one, right? Everybody says, go the last day of the month. There's going to be better deals, right? And sometimes, and everything in the car business is case by case basis, 100%. It's always case by case basis. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen in the beginning of the month. You never know what's going to happen in the middle or the end of the month. The beginning of the month, the manufacturer may have some type of quick start bonus for the dealership to earn extra incentives behind the scenes to make profit. They don't make profit on you. They make profit from doing a fast start bonus. So sometimes the beginning of the month is the better time to buy a car. The middle of the month is the middle of the month, typically speaking, but over the past few years, there's been some incentives from the dealer's perspective and the manufacturer's perspective to do as many cars as you can at the beginning of the month and then coast through the end of the month and finish strong. So, but then you have the old adage of at the end of the month is the best time to buy a car, which is true as well. You never know what that dealership is going to be like. You never know if that dealership is going to be like, hey, listen, we need to hit 3 more cars today and get to our next level of tier bonus from the manufacturer. And then we can go to one more step and we can talk about timing. What part of the year do we buy it, right? So now, and again, I can only talk with Chevrolet because I've been instilled with General Motors for 20 years now. And I can't talk about Toyota. I can't talk about Ford. I can't talk about anybody else. But a lot of the stuff is the same when you go manufacturer. Luckily, I do have enough friends and people I talk to that I gather information and learn so that I can report back to consumers and whatnot. So businesses typically like to buy at the end of the year, December, November. And they're kind of right. There's some big deals going on at those times of the year because manufacturers know on new car deals that they get those tax write-offs. But also at the same time, the inventory selection is slimmer at the end of the year. So it's kind of a catch-22. And then let's go back to the beginning of the year. What are we having right now? What was this weekend in Chicago? Do you know?
Well, the auto show was recent.
There you go. I think that was this weekend.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure the gentleman that was.
I've been seeing stuff about the auto show for a while. So
I think it goes on for like a week and a half, 10 days up there in Chicago.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been to the Chicago auto show.
It was so cold last time we went. I never went back in February in Chicago. July, August, September, Chicago's weather.
Yeah, but we also lived closer at the time, so it was kind of easy to go.
Yes, it was. It was much easier. So during the auto show, certain models have extra incentives on them. So extra incentives mean an extra deal. So it's kind of goofy like that, right? I mean, it just really is. And that's what 20 years in the car business puts out there. It's absolutely crazy and absolutely nuts that it's a case-by-case basis on when the best time to buy a car is. But in closing of this particular subject is, traditionally speaking, throughout the entire year, the incentives are usually pretty flat. Even when you get manufacturer pricing for everyone, right? Employee pricing for everyone, the next month they don't have it and the incentives are within $500 of each other. Sometimes the next month incentive is a better deal than it was in previous to the month of that. So it just all matters. But in a nutshell, you see a little bit of hills and valleys, but in a nutshell, all year round is roughly the same as far as new car incentives. So the answer to your question, you like this, all this elongated stuff to get to your one answer, right?
You just talk.
But I think it's informative.
Yes.
I hope so. We'll see. So, but the best time to buy a car, this is what every car salesman is going to say.
The best time to buy a car is when you need a car or you want one.
That's exactly right.
And mine is when the Chevy Dude, Mike Davenport, whoever you want to call him, decides to buy me my next car.
Your next car, huh?
Well, I'm just waiting to get my Corvette back.
So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. The best time to buy is when you're ready, right? So don't be pressured by car salesmen to say, hey, right now is the best time. Listen to them. And if you have a relationship with them or they're ethical or you're at a great dealership, listen to them, right? Not all car dealerships are bad. Not all car salespeople are bad. And to be honest with you, in 2020, most car dealerships are good. Most car dealerships want to do the right thing. Why? Because there's social media out there and they do not want to get blasted on social media. That's the truth there.
Okay, we have some more questions back to our cash versus finance topic. Let's go with is 0% interest a scam?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. 0% interest is a scam. Not necessarily. I just did a 0% interest today on a Corvette. What a great question to ask on a day that I did 0%, because these numbers are in my head, because we looked at them side by side, 0% or traditional financing. And it's always a give and take. Nothing's ever for free in this world, right? We know that there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's kind of like the old adage and whatnot. So you always have to give something up in order to get something. So to get 0%, you typically have to give up maybe some pricing structure or some rebates. In this case, I was selling a 2019 Corvette, which we've only got three of them left now, which is crazy. And the 0%, you pay a higher price on the Corvette, but the customer's payment was $110 cheaper per month. But he paid $4,000 more for the car. So with this particular deal, YouTube subscriber, by the way, from Texas, Austin, Texas, from Texas somewhere. So he drove up here, traded in a BMW, and his net money was, I'm just rounding, $60,000 for 0%, $56,000 for traditional financing. So he got a $2,000 rebate if he did not do 0%, and he got a little bit better pricing structure on the car by doing traditional financing. So when he went to 0%, he paid more for the car and he lost the $2,000 rebate, but the car was $110 cheaper per month. So it really comes back to what works best for you. In this case, probably the 0% was the better route to go, because this guy does not pay his cars off early. He had a small, very, very small payoff on his current car. So, I mean, I'm talking like $1,000 or something like that, right? So, and he'd had it for a while, 75,000 miles. So with that particular customer, the 0% probably was a better route. Pay more for the car, have a little bit different pricing structure, lose a rebate, but you gain 0% on 60 grand. Right. So, so again, everything in the car business is case by case.
Well, again, when you're looking at payment, you feel like you won because you're paying $110 less a month, you know, even though the price of the car out the door was higher, but you still feel like you won because, again, monthly payment wise, you're $110 cheaper than if you had gone the other way out and paid interest to a bank.
Right, right. So, and you know, people can come out there and say, well, you, that's not the right way to do it and blah, 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 blah. But again, everything's case by case. And again, I don't pretend that I'm some type of financial wizard or financial thing. I look at stuff very basically and based off of your unique situation, your unique area, what's going on. So, so that's just what we need to do is look at things totally as it goes. You got another question? You're running out. I wouldn't worry about that. I know, that's fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Cat was in here messing around. I know. So.
Okay. I got to get back in. You put a lock on this, which is crazy.
Yes.
Because now I have to sit here and wait for it to pop up with the code to put in.
Oh.
We need to take the lock off if I'm.
Yeah, we do.
Or put my fingerprint on it.
That phone's always going to be here. It's never going to leave the house.
It's an older phone. Okay, so let's see.
Oh, here, I'm gonna address this real quick. So,
go ahead.
He said lighting good on mic, too dark on wife. Yes. This is what happens, and I'm going to have to spend some money on this. This is what happens when you have a $3,000 mirrorless DSLR camera and you buy a $500 streaming camera.
Yeah, he doesn't like me very well.
So yeah, I'm going to have to probably upgrade that camera. And then this is a GoPro right here. So maybe I need to put that up there. I never thought about that. Put that camera up there where they can see it and the GoPro down here on you. Maybe that would work. I mean,
it's worth me looking good.
Someone said payment buyers are a salesman's best friend. And, you know, to me personally, I don't care how somebody pays for a car. I don't get paid on that. So, again, there's more ethical car salesmen and more ethical dealers today in 2020 than there ever has been. And I think a lot of the unethical characteristics or the unethical mindset that the consumers have nowadays is set back from 70s, 80s, 90s. Again, I got 20 years in the car business, and I only can go on what I know. And luckily, I've worked for ethical car dealerships. One wasn't, I guess. The one I worked for 2 years wasn't very ethical, but which is why I don't work there anymore. But in a nutshell, most dealers are, and you can kind of tell nowadays from Google reviews. And really, a great way to tell if a car dealer is ethical or not ethical is based off of maybe some of their ads they run. Their website is a big key. If, you know, I guess we can get into this subject for this time of year is.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about.
What is it?
Tax refund.
Tax refund sales, right?
Yep.
So dealers will. No. Don't say that. Don't say that. So that is a trademark name and it's a big company. So, so a big thing is if you have shaky credit, subprime credit, bad credit, crappy credit, right? We can just say all of them, challenge credit, right? There's a million ways to explain it, but it's all one thing. And so anything below 600 for sure, 600 FICO score, you do not want to go to a dealership that does not display their prices. Let me say that again. Look me straight in my eye. Do not go to a dealership that does not display their prices on their website. That is the biggest scam in the world. They will make up the number that works best for them, not for you. You walk in and tell them, hey, I need a $300 payment. The next question they got, how much money you got down? Excellent. So they want to sell that car for $15,000 and you just told them that you have $5,000 down. Guess what? How much that price of that car is?
Well, it's not going to be $10,000.
No, I said $15,000. You got $5,000 down. How much?
Exactly.
How much do you think it's going to be? How much do you think that salesman's going to tell that customer how much the car is?
Well, they're going to tell them it's 15
They're
or
going to tell them 20.
20.
They're going to jack the price
to make
up.
it so that the payment is still $300 a month with their $5,000 down.
Yeah. And the reason they do that, the reason these places out here are doing this is because banks charge dealerships huge fees, sometimes thousands of dollars of fees to loan someone money on a car. So what they do is they don't tell you the price and they send it to the bank and they work the bank. And if it's a $3,000 fee, then if you're on that $15,000 car, they may hit you at that $20,000. They may hit you at $18,000 because it's illegal, hear me? It's illegal to quote you a price, submit it to the bank, find out that there's a bank fee, and up that price. It's 100% illegal. It has to do with something with the Fair Credit Act, right? So that fee would be considered some sort of interest rate. So I haven't gotten into it real good over the years because it's not a practice I have to worry about, and I don't need to worry about it because I'm not going to do it to anybody. And we prominently price all of our cars dead on the website, and that's why sometimes when you have 600 and less credit score, that sometimes the dealerships have to pick the car for you because they're looking at that, right? I do that all the time. I pick cars for people all the time, and it's not fun on my job, but ultimately what's going to happen is I'm listening to the consumer. I'm going to obtain the information that they want to obtain, and I'm going to close them on what they want to do. If they want a $300 payment and they got $2,000 down, we're probably going to have to be on an $8,000 car if they have bad credit. So it's just stuff like that. Got another question?
Oh, there's more questions. I was just laughing at a comment or a text message that came in that says, "Buy me a ZL1, please. Thank you." And that particular person, it really
Is his
misses.
name Vinny?
No.
Oh, okay.
Her name is Onion.
Oh,
and
geez.
she misses your Camaro. I just had to laugh because she actually texts this phone number.
What a dummy.
Which means that she's possibly watching.
That's good. At least she's watching. My kids up there watching.
Okay, so you keep going on and on and on about things, and I'm trying to find my questions.
Well, while you're looking up that question, let's do us a favor. Share the stream. Share it into your Facebook groups to, your colleagues and whatnot. And then we have 95 likes on this video. So
that's all
we have
me.
400. It is probably all you.
Yeah,
Let me put the camera back on you. Yeah. So if you like her, we have 95 likes. Let's get that up. We have 405 people watching this video.
I'm just going to take over the whole, channel.
So let's get this up to 400 likes right now. We got 95. If you like my wife, let's get to 400.
Hey, now you're going to make me have a complex because if it doesn't get to 400, that means that, there's really a problem with me.
Guys, don't make her have a complex. I have to live with her. And
yes, you do.
All right, we're up to 101
and you'll have to
now.
be buying more things for me. Okay, so one of the questions, and there are so many questions coming in, so I'm just trying to pick and choose what's keeping us on topic relatively. Is there a minimum you have to finance to take advantage of manufacturers' discounts?
So not the discounts, but since we're talking about financing and
rebates.
So yes. So it depends on the bank. So with GM Financial, I believe that number is $7,500. So we haven't had that rebate in GM in a while. Thank goodness. And to be honest with you, it's called down payment assistance. And to be honest with you, dealerships don't like it because I forgot about this because typically your interest rate is higher. Like you could have like a 7% interest rate to get this $1,500, this $1,000. And so we don't like it because it makes confrontation with the customer, right? And I say we as our dealership. I can't speak for other dealerships. But at the same time, as a consumer, it makes sense that we don't want to have those type of confrontations with customers when buying a car. So sometimes it depends on the bank, but I know GM Financial is $7,500, and I would imagine most of them are $7,500, $8,000, $5,000, stuff like that.
Okay. And if you're paying cash, should you walk into the dealer saying you want to finance and pay cash last minute, or should you say you're paying cash right up front?
It would be to do that, it would be your comfort level with the dealer. I think, kind of like poker, don't show your hand up front. But don't lie. Don't be deceitful. If the dealership asks, the salesman's going to ask, right? How are you going to pay for this car? You paying cash? You financing? You putting money down? I ask that question every day with every customer. I do it at the appropriate time, and I use this analogy quite a bit on the channel with recorded content. Is like I don't walk up. Well, not me. Don't hate me for what I'm about ready to say. You don't walk up as a person and you see an attractive human being and say, hey, listen, my name is so-and-so. Will you marry me? Right. So I was getting ready to say right. So that would look real good. Aren't you married to Mrs. Chevy Dude? So it's all subjective on your comfort level again with that dealership. But again, be honest with the dealership, and it's a relationship both ways. Right. And again, 2020, there's more good car dealers out there than bad car dealers. And it's going to go quicker for you when you are honest up front, both ways, right? Trust me, I'm not putting a dealership on a pedestal here. It's a two-way road.
Okay. And now we're going to go to cash versus financing on certified pre-owned. Somebody wants to know which is better.
I think whatever, again, works for your budget. I think it's the same way as anything else. So sometimes they do have incentivized rates on certified pre-owned, 3.9, 2.9. You just got to look at that stuff with what they're doing. And on certified pre-owned, you're not going to give up anything by taking those type of rates. You're not going to pay a higher price for a car for taking those rates. And
the same person also wanted to know if there was any tips or scams when it comes to certified pre-owned.
That's a good question. I have an opinion.
Well,
but I don't want to.
I have noticed from being inside the dealership and just the car business friends that I've acquired from you. It seems like certified pre-owned's going bye-bye.
Well, it's not so much going bye-bye, and I want to be careful on saying this because General Motors does watch me, and I don't want to say something that pisses them off. But, I'm not a fan of CPO cars. I'm really not. The cost to recondition those cars is extremely expensive. And I just got to use our own decision at the dealership that we don't really CPO cars anymore. We have to CPO a certain amount of cars so that way we get our CPO bonus money. But overall, we stopped doing it. And we used to be like in the Southeast region. So that would be from Kentucky down to the tip of Florida over to the Mississippi River and over to the East Coast. We were like the number 2, number 3 CPO dealer for a long time in the early 2010s, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I think 16 was the first year that we're like, stop doing it. And the reason we stopped doing it is just, Traverse. We'll use the Traverse as a prime example. 20-inch wheels on a Traverse. They come in off lease. We buy a ton of them off lease. They're great used vehicles. They're great vehicles to buy if you want that $400 car payment. And so we would have to put tires on every single Traverse at 30,000 miles. And nobody in their right mind that owned a vehicle with 30,000 miles on it would put tires on it because they barely were under 50% tread life. Barely. So that tells you that the tires are going to go 60,000, right? So if you have 50% of your trade life or 48% of your tread life left, you're not going to spend $1,200 on tires.
Are you sure about that?
Well,
I mean, Mike Davenport seems to spend a lot of money on tires.
Yeah, but I don't have 50% left on them when I do it. Now, I may have had 50% earlier in the day when I had the tires.
What's the percentage of tread life on my C7 tires right now that you're about ready to get rid of?
Oh no, they're fine. I haven't done one burnout in those tires. Exactly. All the burnouts were prior to those tires, but those are the hand cooked tires, and I have not done one burnout in them. But I have new tires coming, or I have new rims at the dealership right now for the C7, and I don't have to buy tires for it because there are 305s in the back and 285s in the front, and that's not what's on a narrow body C7.
Exactly. So again, buying tires for a car.
Yep.
Okay, let's get back on topic here.
Let's go.
Otherwise, I have so many things I could grump about with him. Somebody said, I financed a car for $26,000. Should I pay it off in a year?
So it's always good to pay it off, right? So, but what you can do with that is you have to look at your investments, and do you keep your payment and pay a simple interest decreasing balance interest rate, or do you take that 25,000, 26,000 and put it in some type of interest bearing investment and grow that compound? So it's up to you, really. It's I'm always about compound interest. I worked for a Cadillac dealership back in the early 2000s, 2002 to 2006, 2005. And I had a lot of people come in and pay cash for Cadillac Escalades, Cadillac DTSs, DeVille's. SRX came out then.
So old.
The STS.
I love the STS.
The first car. Oh my gosh, we just brought up the Purple Princess. Oh my
I did not say Purple Princess.
It just came in my head.
That was my favorite car.
I know it was not my favorite car, but let's talk about Purple Princess down the road, I think. But I convinced a lot of people to not pay cash and finance back then. Number one, I got paid on it, right? So be full disclosure, fully transparent, which I told them that. I've always been like fully transparent and like not much filter when I'm talking to people, but I talk to people just like I'm talking to you guys now. Zero filter, tell you exactly what I'm thinking, tell you exactly how it is. And I think that I talk with some type of authority, that I know what I'm doing, that I get that respect from those people as well. And if they go with my plan, perfect. If they don't, no big deal. I'm not going to lose a friendship or a deal or a business over it, and move on. So, but I would sit there and convince people to finance, because I would have a calculator that they could put it in a simple CD back in the early 2000s. You wouldn't want to put it in a CD now, but you could put your money in a CD, gaining 4 and 5 and 6% interest, and you're paying 3 and 4% interest, 5% interest back then, and you would actually grow over 3 years of that money. So that's what you have to do, is just look and see if you can put that 25 grand, if you got the cash, into some type of interest bearing account that could make you money over the time. So they always say that debt is bad. If you can make money on your debt is not bad. Look at Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is $300-400 million guy. Love him to death. Good friend of mine. And he leverages debt to no end. And that's the guy you need to look at if you're wondering about debt and investments and stuff like that.
Okay. This one's kind of you won't be able to get into it all, but it says, I'm getting my inheritance here in late October, $220K. What all should I do with it? I want to buy a new truck. And then it goes, what all should I invest into? But basically, let's talk about the truck part.
Yeah.
Wanting to buy the new truck with the money.
So here's what you need to do first before you do anything, right? A car salesman is never going to tell you this. No car salesman will ever tell you this. You need to contact a money manager and get with them and let them decide on what you want to do. And to be honest with you, go find a $25,000-$30,000 truck and drive that, because here's what happens when most people walk in with some type of inheritance. They don't come from money. They typically have bad credit, and they typically don't know how to spend their money well. I'm not saying that this person is that way. That's what I see. And settlements as well. So with that being said, contact some type of money marketing manager, some type of wealth investment manager, and sit down with them and work out a plan. That is the absolute best plan. And some of the wealth management people are like, these are the hardest people to work with because they don't want to listen. But if you listen to them, they can take that $250,000 and turn it into $1 million. And that truck that you maybe didn't buy for 6 months means absolutely nothing to you 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road from now. There was a guy who here in Salem, Indiana, got fired 2 days prior. This is in 2008 when I moved down here. And got fired 2 days later. He won like $150 million lottery. And he doesn't do anything now. He still has all of his money to this date. So here we are 13 years later, 14, what is it? 12 years later? What is it? 16?
What year did you say?
2008? I'm confused. 14 years later, right?
Honey,
so
no, your math is so far off. This is 2020.
Yeah, car salesman math. 12 years, yeah. Car salesman math.
No, that's man math. You know, man math. If it's 2 inches for real, you think it's, you know. Hey, that was not nice.
So he won like $150 million and still has all the money today. And we see a lot of those lottery winners, they go bankrupt, right? So he did the right thing, and he took the money and got with a money manager, and now he spends like $50,000 a month, but it's all interest. He still has like $150 million. He bought a house. He bought this like $750,000 house, and he went in on brand new wood floors and took a 4-wheeler and did a burnout in the middle of his house. Like, they don't even have furniture moved in there. He just did a burnout. It's crazy.
I would kill you.
I would do it for YouTube.
Yeah, I had to watch you do it in the garage. Okay. So we have another question. Just ordered a Cadillac XT5. It is being built, won't be here until May. I want to pay cash. My dealer said that cash is not the dealership's best friend. So he or she is being told, kind of no.
Yeah, so
is how I'm reading that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't. They're just sitting there and trying to convince you to finance. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, is finance it. That way they can get their percentage. And you know what? If you can sit there and work with the dealership and say, hey, listen, and this would be a great example, right? Just do it. If they're like, hey, listen, if you don't want to take my cash, that's fine. How much better of a deal can you give me? This is where cash can be king. If you don't want me to pay cash, how much better of a deal can you give me on my caddy? And if they can come up with an extra $1,000, an extra $500, perfect. Say, okay, I'll finance it. And then when you get into the finance office, this is the question you ask your finance manager. When do I need to pay this off? When does your chargeback end? Ask that question to your finance manager. They are going to absolutely love you. And they're going to tell you that, hey, I need you to wait 6 payments. I need you to wait 3 payments. I need you to wait 90 days, whatever the case may be. There's a thing called chargebacks. And so if you finance the car and you pay it off too early, then whatever monies the dealership got, they get charged back that money. They're never going to hold that over you. They can never call you and say, hey, give us our money back, whatever the case may be. That can never happen. But it's all about building that relationship. So ask that question to your finance manager. They'll be impressed that you asked that question. They'll be like, how the hell did that happen? How the hell does this guy know what chargebacks are? F&I managers hate chargebacks. Next question.
Okay, our lease is up in December and we really want a new car. Should we wait till it expires or can we trade it in early?
So leasing is nice. So leasing gives you a multitude of options. So the number one thing that I tell people with leasing, and I had this conversation with the fan that walked in from Chicago today. When you lease a car, you are obligating yourself to make X amount of payments. So if you have a 36-month lease, 39-month lease, 24-month lease, you're obligating yourself to pay 24, 36, 39 payments. You're agreeing to that. But a lease gives you options, where financing a car does not give you options. It gives you, gives you obligations. So leasing gives you options. Financing gives you obligations. When you lease a car, you have, at the end of the term, you can buy the car, you can sell the car, you can return the car and walk away from it. And with a purchase, you're obligated to make every payment on that car. If you decide in 3 years that you want to get out of that car and it's worth $15,000 and you owe $25,000 on it, you still owe that $10,000 to the bank. And now you can pay it off and write a check. You can roll it over to the next car payment, all that stuff. But if you want to start looking, you can look about 100. What I do is about 100 days prior. Start looking, start shopping, start talking to the dealer, and find out if they have any type of lease loyalty, conquest lease. So if you have a GM vehicle, ask your GM dealers, do you have any lease loyalty programs? We do on most cars right now. If you own a GM vehicle and you're going to like a Toyota or a Ford, ask them if they have conquest rebates for leasing. Again, most of them do. So you can ask those questions and find out that, hey, there's a $1,500 rebate on this. My car payment's $300 a month, so I have 3 months left. I have $1,200 in payments, and now I'm going to come out a couple $100 ahead. So you can get out early without doing it. Or you're like, hey, listen, that rebate's $1,500. Let's just take this lease to term, and we have a $1,500 lower car price on it because we have that $1,500 rebate. So there's a couple things that you can do on that, and most of the times, you're going to just walk away from the lease. You're not going to purchase it. The residual values are usually too high. Honda's, I think this is what I hear anyways, Honda's going through some major changes right now with their leasing. So all their leasing prices have gone up because they used to lease them for like $200 a month. And now they're up there where Chevy is at $300 and $400 a month. So we had a lease that we did for our daughter. I did an ultra low mileage lease at 10,000 miles per year. And we had a lot of unknowns. We didn't know how long she was going to keep the car. We didn't know how many miles she was going to drive. She was getting ready to go to college. We didn't know where she was going to college. There was all sorts of things that we needed to do. So I took a gamble. The lease payment was $150, right? So it wasn't very much money. And I told my wife that, hey, listen, if she miles this car out in 2 years, that's 150 times 12. I'm willing to take that risk and not spend extra money. Well, she kind of did that, right? How much, when did we had 5 or 6 payments left, I think. So I just turned it in and paid 6 payments.
Yeah.
You know?
It was like $1,100.
Yeah, it was nothing. So I took that risk and took that gamble and knew up front that we did that. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. Got another one?
Not really seeing too many more on topic.
All right. Well, we don't have to be on this same topic.
Well,
so if somebody has...
there's a lot of C8 questions going on.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to keep it somewhat on topic. So I'm just kind of picking and choosing because otherwise, it's a bunch of C8 questions. Yeah. And, of course, everybody wants to know what's going on with, getting C8s and etc.
Yeah. So Mark said that I should pay more attention to the questions being asked here in chat, not just questions being texted to you. And it's harder for me to read the chat, and that's something maybe that we're going to work on down the road is maybe getting her a monitor so she can do things. But
yeah,
that's
I see nothing.
No, you don't. Yeah. So that's much easier for her to do this, and our game plan is to have her read the questions and come through. So I can put another monitor on here and so she can read it, but that one's much easier to watch and stuff like that. So that's why I set that text number up. I don't collect any of that information. It's just an iPhone. Let me see that phone real quick. So you can see, take all these phone numbers off. So just an iPhone. I'm not using an app. I'm not collecting data. I'm not collecting anything. I'm just texting, and I'll go through here and just delete all the text messages. I don't want to collect anything. I'm not going to market anything. Nothing like that. So that's why I'm doing it that way. But I'm willing to change. This is new for me, right? We've never done this before. It's all new to me. So if you got a question, you can text it in. My thing's not working over here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on.
Your Stream Deck?
Yeah, my Stream Deck's not working.
Okay.
I was going to unplug it, but I don't know which one it was, and I was scared to unplug something.
And then kill our whole stream here.
I think it's this one here. Yeah, that's it. So we'll see what happens.
Okay,
here.
So we have the question, is getting the website asking price after discounts a good deal when paying cash?
So most of the time, yes, because nowadays dealers have to put their best foot forward. They have to put their best foot forward. You could be on your computer, on your phone at 2:00 in the morning, completely naked in your bed, looking at pricing on the internet, and decide that you want to contact that dealer. So the number one question that's asked by a consumer when they call a dealership is, do you know what it is?
I'm sorry, I'd have to pay attention to you first.
Oh, my goodness gracious. The number one question asked by a consumer who calls into a dealership or contacts a dealership is what?
Oh, is the car available?
Yes. I'll say you were around when I said that. So they don't ask about price anymore. They don't ask about too many options. Sometimes they do on used cars because it gives us the authority to be on our computer, on our phone at home and know pretty much all the answers. Typically nowadays, when a question's asked, they're testing the car salesman to see if he's going to be truthful or not, and that's typically when you start getting questions. That's what happens. So, yes, a lot of times that is, but you need to read it. You need to look at my video, fake internet pricing. If you type in anything that you want to see and just type in Chevy Dude, it'll pull it up. So fake internet pricing Chevy Dude, it'll pull up the video and you can look at that and go over that because there is some funky stuff with people putting fake pricing on there, fake rebates that you don't qualify for. I mentioned one earlier about the incentive for leasing. A lot of times people put that up there. In heavily military areas, they put military pricing on there. Well, sometimes those incentives don't stack with each other as well. So you have to look at that, and those should be the questions you ask when you call the dealership, is about pricing. And I explained that in that video, fake pricing, fake car buying. How did I title that? Fake pricing, I think. If you just type in fake internet price and then Chevy Dude, it'll pull it up.
Okay, I like this one. Should you buy a vehicle out of state? And the second part is, how does the state sales tax work?
Perfect. I love that one. I talk about that one. That one comes up all of the time. So buy a car from wherever you want to buy a car from, wherever your means are capable of. If you have to fly there, if you drive there, whatever the case may be, walk, camp, whatever, hitchhike. And
are you really telling somebody to hitchhike?
Uber.
That's better.
Okay. So you can put your thumb up and when the Uber comes up and pretend to hitchhike, right? Modern day hitchhiking. So what happens at my dealership is you pay your state sales tax based off of where you're going to title it at. I don't collect any Kentucky fees. You're not double dipped on anything, stuff like that. And then I send all of that money to your DMV. Now, if we're a reciprocal state, so let's say California, because I sell a lot of cars in California, most of the time California is 9% interest or 9% tax rate, which is absolutely crazy. Tennessee is the same way. The reciprocal states, they're only going to get the difference between Kentucky sales tax and California sales tax. So Kentucky sales tax is 6%. They're only going to get 3.5% because Kentucky gets to keep the 6% tax rate. And then you get full credit of the 9.5% in California. So the only cost that you would have associated with buying out of state would be your time traveling there, or shipping. If you have your car shipped, which a lot of my clients do ship their cars, that could be $1,000, could be $1,500, $2,500. Usually $2,500 is about the most amount of money, unless you're going to Hawaii or Alaska, and then you're about $300 to $3,500 to get to a car there. And I ship a lot to Alaska and Hawaii, believe it or not. It's crazy.
You're looking at me like, what am I supposed to say now?
No, I figured you had another question. We probably got time for one more. So
one more.
Yep.
So I really got to make it good then.
Yeah, got to make it good. No pressure. Well, how are you feeling on your first live stream with tons and tons and tons of people here? Wait till you see these analytics.
Considering I can't see any of that stuff, I'm fine with that. I'm just getting kind of lost in all these text messages, trying to read things, trying to figure stuff out. And then I'm supposed to be listening to you and what you say. And, that's not happening.
What?
Exactly.
I know how that works. I know how that works really, really well. So Amelia Hartford is now calling me, YouTuber, and she's out driving the C8 right now. So we have a lot of customers or a lot of people on here asking about the C8. So we don't want to talk about that sort of subject with me. That some people get to drive C8s again or out there and do media stuff, and I don't. But so it's always good. Love her. She's awesome.
Well, you'll be driving a C8 soon enough.
Soon.
Unless I steal it. Okay, so we'll finish off. We'll finish off the podcast live stream with, is it better to buy a new car from a previous year production or the current year production?
Oh, say that again.
Is it better to buy a new car from the previous year production or the current year production?
Okay, so new car to new car, depending on 19 or 20.
Yes.
Yep. So that can go a couple different ways. So if you can get a really good deal, like right now, 19 Corvettes are out there, right? So we can't do anything about that. But I think that's an unfair consideration. But let's look at 19 Silverado converses to 20 Silverado, half tons, right? We're not going to talk about 19 3/4 tons or HD trucks because they're different body styles. So with different body styles, it has to come up to you if you want that different body style or not. But let's say this body style is the same, very minimal changes. Again, you just have to look at it. I think that sometimes that you get really, really good deals on leftover models. The dealerships definitely want to get them off their lot. And so it just comes back to what's the difference between a previous model year and current model year, and do you see value in it? And that's kind of the biggest thing. That's what most people look at, is as soon as value exceeds price, it's a no-brainer. So you have to look at that. What's my advantages? I'm getting full warranty. I'm getting, whatever the case may be. If I trade in 3 years, I'm going to be trading a 3-year-old to a 4-year-old car. If I don't trade for a long time, if I'm a type of person that keeps my car for 10 years, then that means that has no bearing, right? So that right there is an immediate value boost for that person. If it's a $500, $1,000, you just got to look at it. Is it worth $1,000? We're getting ready to fly, right? And we're looking at airline tickets. And do we ever make 2 stops in the United States?
You don't like making any stops anywhere.
And I try to pay more money for nonstop flights, right? So, but we're getting ready to fly to England so we can watch those guys. I'm backwards here. So we can watch these guys play over in London in June. And when we looked at flights with 2 stops and adding about 2 hours to our trip, we were able to upgrade to first class rather than being in the back of the plane, right? So that's kind of the things you got to look at. Is there a value associated with doing that? So for me, hey, I like the upgrade idea and spending 2 extra hours. So my 2 hours of time in the plane, in the airport, where the case may be, is value to me to do that. And so you have to look at that as well too.
I think you mean more the upgrading part is valuable to you to waste the extra time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you said it much better than me. That's
of course.
So hopefully that works out. Our first podcast is pretty much now officially done. It's amazing. So how do you think you did?
Oh, I did wonderful.
You only have 214 likes.
Nah. I guess I'm just going to have to get off.
I told them if they liked you to get you up to 400, but you only got 214.
Yeah. I mean, part of it could be that you've been on screen most of the time.
True.
So, you got to show the beauty, not the beast.
All right, guys. Well, this is the Beyond the Showroom podcast. We really appreciate you joining in. Every single week, we're going to upload a podcast so you can listen to wherever you are at. Again, as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day and drive safely. All right. The audio portion is done. All right. So now we can.
Okay. There's a ton of questions.
So we're going to spend 10 more minutes on the live stream.
Oh my!
So
that's not enough.
I know it's not. So we'll go over those questions so we can look through them and stuff like that. We've been streaming for 1 hour and 10 minutes now, so I haven't ate. So yeah. So somebody just asked who won the podcast money. So I forgot I was going to bring that up very first thing, and I forgot.
And I didn't want to say it without you deciding to bring it up.
Yes. So the podcast contest, nobody came up with this name. So the Beyond the Showroom is the podcast name, and nobody came up with it. I'll be more than happy to show all the names, all the entries, stuff like that. Some people didn't listen. Some people put Chevy Dude or Chevrolet or Corvette or stuff like that, which I did not want. I wanted this to be completely away from Chevy Dude, from Chevrolet, from Bachman Chevrolet, all that stuff. So we as a family came up with this. Our son actually came up with the podcast name. He does not get paid. He's not getting the money. We told him that up front. And he just said, did he just say showroom? I can't remember what he said. He just said showroom. And so, and that was part of the contest rules, is you don't have to tell me. I don't have to use the name verbatim. It just has to give me the idea. And so he said the showroom. Call it the showroom. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but it's not really what we're going after. And so I just kind of kept watching. And all these names come in. I got about 400 of them, 350 of them or so, and just nothing hit me. So someone said, please fix Mike's mic. Is that a pun, or is there something going on with my mic? Can't believe there's
your mic sounds fine, but you've had a couple times I think
I came away from it a couple times. Yeah. Gotta keep.
You got to remember to keep your mouth on it.
So we came up as a family, on the name for Beyond the Showroom, and I love the name. I think this is awesome. I think it it does exactly what this podcast is going to be about. What this weekly live stream is going to be about is we're leaving the showroom. We're coming on live in our house, taking time out of our family time, taking our time out of this, and coming to you guys that I think I can give back more to the community, more to people who are looking to buy cars, and just help out everybody involved. And that's what my channel was all about originally, right? That's what Chevy Dude YouTube channel was all about, was help people buying cars, stuff like that. No loose cables. So, and because I can hear myself through these as well, so I can hear myself. So,
and we've had Lewis said audio was great.
Lewis, okay.
You know, yeah, he made sure he put his name in.
Oh, did he? Good.
So,
all right, perfect.
But we've had several people say audio is great.
Okay, good.
So it just
could be their end. So, but yeah. So now when I got this C8 coming, my channel is going to be dominated by the C8 stuff. I got to repay this $100,000 car. I mean, that's the only reason I bought this car, was for the channel. I wouldn't have spent that much money on the car. I would have spent 70 grand on the car. I probably wouldn't have gotten front lift. I definitely wouldn't have got the $2,600 wheels. I definitely probably wouldn't have done some other things. Definitely wouldn't have done 3LT. I'd have done 2LT. So we got to repay that
and
car.
Your wife is just giving you looks the whole time because I know how you are. And, you know, I didn't have much say on my C7 because I would have gotten a 3LT.
That's because you wanted blue and red, right? Yeah.
I'm the type, I would get this and this and this and all that stuff.
So I really appreciate everybody being on. This has been fun for me. What about you? Fun for you?
Oh, why do you always have to put me on the spot?
I love putting you on the spot.
You know that I hate being put on the spot. Sure, it was fun.
Wait till we upgrade this studio and I have cameras up here and we can rotate, and I have this joystick. I could have this joystick right here and I could be like, just zooming in on you.
No.
Just close up. Like I could see the pores in your nose or something.
No. Ew.
Look at so I've been doing a lot of research on podcast and live streams and stuff like that. And so I didn't watch Joe Rogan much, but I did look at like what his setup was, like this microphone right here. This is the Shure mic. I think it's $400 mic. And then, but I looked at Pat McAfee. I looked at Pat McAfee's stuff and was trying to contact him so I could go up and look around their studio, but the person to contact never got back to me and whatnot. So, but no, so, you know, there's different things that you can do out there.
Okay. Well, we've had somebody who really wants to know the answer to their question because they've texted me 4 times.
Okay.
And I appreciate that nobody's actually like texting me just to talk to me.
Yeah, we don't want that. Don't want that.
Although that would make me feel good. But they are talking about the C8 and how in a recent video, TFL, and I don't pay attention to YouTube, so I don't know what that is, did on a C8, but it doesn't sound like a mid-engine Ferrari looking car. Do you think you can make the C8 sound like a Ferrari?
Yeah, you probably can, and we're gonna find that out because that's one of the things I want to do. Is do different mods to my exhaust. I've been talking to some exhaust companies. I just was talking to an exhaust company this morning. I'll tell you who I talked to because they're on the C7. I talked to Corsa, and I think Corsa is the best exhaust out there. I love Corsa. I think they have the best note. I think they, we've done the full exhaust. We got headers, X pipe, cat back, and we have no drone. We have no issues. We can talk like normal inside the car. There's no loud noises, and it's phenomenal. And somebody was following me home last night, and they're like, dude, that car sounds so good. And just everywhere I go, everybody's like, that car sounds awesome. And if you look on, no, I didn't put it in my story yesterday, but Corsa, I talked to Corsa this morning, and we're talking some things. Corsa is not going to be first to market on exhaust for the C8. They've already told me that. But they're going to be the best one. And so I'll probably play around with it a little bit, but it ultimately at the end, I'll probably put a Corsa exhaust on it. So we'll see what happens, but I think it can sound like a Ferrari. When the Z06 comes out, if they're going to do the flat plane crank engine, that thing can really wind up. High revving engine. That's going to be sounding pretty cool. Get another Corvette. We can answer a couple Corvette.
Well, then I have to get back on here.
Yeah.
Why don't you go through your...
Ferrari is a 12-cylinder, LOL. Yeah, true. True.
I mean, yeah, you do have a lot of mid-engine cars are not little 8-cylinder cars.
Yeah.
So...
people are putting Trump 2020.
I mean, I've always been a supercar fan.
Yeah, you know,
so.
and that's one thing that I get asked, why are you getting a coupe or a convertible, right? Well, I'm getting a coupe because that's what was available first, but I don't think I want to go with a convertible because here's why. And when I, growing up as a kid, no money, very poor, on welfare, you know, I've never really told this story on YouTube, on WIC, on government assistance. We got government cheese as a kid. The church came dressed as Santa Claus and gave us presents at Christmas time, right? So growing up, I thought I was the poorest kid in the world, but you know, as an adult, I was nowhere close. Just a poor kid, right? And but growing up, you see a Ferrari or see a Lamborghini, and you see that engine.
Or a Porsche.
That
was always mine.
But you see that engine on a Ferrari and a Lambo, and you're like, that is so cool. And then in the 80s when I grew up, and I was born in 1977, so in the 80s growing up, what's the guy in Hawaii? MacGyver? Not MacGyver. Was it MacGyver? No. Drove the red Ferrari around in Hawaii.
Magnum PI?
Magnum PI, yeah, that's it. So, you know,
Tom
Selleck. So growing up, that was my thing, right? And it's probably why I like aviation so much, because they flew the helicopter around and we had the A-team, but that was a different subject. But that's why I love the mid-engine Corvette so well, is because you can see that engine, and that is so badass that you can see that engine. And that's why I have the red engine cover, which a lot of people are going to have the red engine cover, but that's just so awesome. And when I tint the windows, that back window is definitely not going to get tinted.
Okay.
There's no replacement for displacement. That's right. Twin turbo. Yeah. I definitely want to play around with the engine. Never done stuff like that before. It's scary. So Andrew with CSP thinks that I can get the car to 650 right away, and he's got a way for me to get the car to 650 horsepower right away. 650 horsepower. So I've driven the car, and I can't talk about my experience of driving the car on YouTube, but so I've driven this car. I've got some track time behind it. I've got autocross time behind it. Putting in 650 horsepower in this mid-engine car is going to be amazing. So with the Z06 coming out and stuff like that, compared to even 650 horsepower on the Z06.
I hear money, and what do I get out of this?
I just need thumbs up, comments, share the video. You know, that helps out the car stuff. Bring content for you guys. It's really all for you guys. This is fun for me, right? So like 2012, I started doing this YouTube stuff, and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. And, but this is fun, and it's not a job. It's a lot of work. You know how much work I put into this, but I have a blast doing this, and I love people coming into the dealership and saying, "Hey, I watch you. I do this. I do that. I've watched you for this long." You know, the guy that was today, he knew that I had the Chevy Malibu with Louisville Chevy Dude all over it.
Oh my goodness!
That's how. I mean, you know, and I would bet nobody on here knows that I had that car, right? And that's so cool. It's so cool that somebody knows that. And again, growing up poor, no friends. I was bullied in high school. I was bullied in middle school. I was shoved into a locker.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, you're lucky you. So this stuff is cool. This stuff is cool for me, and that's why, like, even when I have haters, and you know this, nobody else knows this, which we can. This is what's great about the live stream, is even when there's haters on here, I could care less about them, right? I got it so much worse when I was a little kid. I got beat up and shoved in lockers, and you know, milk dumped on me. It's like your words do nothing to me at all.
Okay. Well, this is a great one too. It has nothing to do with C8.
Okay.
Just
we can end it here.
Somebody wants to know, will this broadcast be on a regular basis?
Yes. Every week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. And then I got to decide on the podcast part of it. So tonight when I get done, I'm going to edit this, maybe give it to Lewis to edit this. And then Lewis is my editor. I hired an editor, September, I think.
I think September, October.
And so that's freeing me some time up. And then we're going to chop up these videos and upload them. So like you guys are going to probably see me like uploading twice a day now. Like I'm going to probably upload car content at 5:45 p.m. And I'm thinking that like at 9 a.m. uploading bits and snippets of this stuff. So we'll see. and we'll see what Lewis does. And
so basically our podcast portion will be on 1 or 2 topics with whatever questions you guys have regarding that topic. And then from there,
free flow, right? I want to answer questions that are important to people.
And since so many people sent in questions that we did not get to today, I will be making a list of things to possibly talk about come next Tuesday.
Yeah.
That
is your job.
That is why I was hired.
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm paying you big money to it. Big money.
No.
Huge money.
No.
Not a political statement, but it's huge.
No. Sorry. Not working for me.
All right, guys, on the live stream, I thank you so much. This is so awesome. I can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday, 7 p.m. live with Mr. Chevy Dude. And
I guess we are on just the channel, not the podcast.
Yep, the podcast is done recording.
Yeah, so it is Mrs. Chevy Dude.
It is. So, guys, as always, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a great evening. Have a great night. I'll see you. Tomorrow's video is going to be really cool. It's really, really awesome video. Nice. I'll say it this way. Badass truck. This is a badass truck. It's a Ford Raptor killer. I built a truck to beat the Ford Raptor.
I know what it is now.
Yep. So you guys will see that video tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, turn all your bell notifications on, tell some friends about the channel because I want to hit 1 million subscribers this year.
Buy merch.
ChevyDudeStore.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Drive safely.